Okay, so today we're going to be talking about sets and props. So the first thing you should do is go onto YouTube or click on the link here and look for Mary Poppins Educational Series Part 7, Creating Mary's World. This is going to go over how they designed the set for Mary Poppins, which is actually pretty interesting and intricate because they have different parts of the house that can pull out and create almost mini stages. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is what is the set designer actually in charge of? So they're in charge of anything that is stationary. So you could move furniture, it's not completely stationary, but it would be pretty difficult to do so. So they're in charge of all scenery, backdrops, and furniture. When they design the set should suggest the style and tone of the show. It creates mood and atmosphere. It gives clues to the specific place and time the show is set in, and offers creative possibilities for the movement and grouping of actors. So you saw when you were doing your directing and blocking that it was good to have a few things that the actors could use in their blocking, places to sit, things to do, bookcases, that sort of a thing. So when you're designing your set, keep those things in mind. What does this set actually have to have, and what else could I add into it that could provide some interesting things for the blocking for the actors? And that's one thing you'll want to definitely talk to the director about as well. Okay, so next thing we're going to talk about is elevations. So one thing that the set designer will draw is a ground plan, which is a bird's eye view of the stage. This is going to be essential to give to the director so that way they can see where the different items on stage are going to be, so that way they can do blocking. It's also going to be really essential to give to the lighting designer so they know what parts of the stage they need to light up. The next thing you're going to do is the rear elevation. The rear elevation shows the backside of the ground plan and elevates it on a straight on, flattened on, full face, no perspective of the set. Next thing you're going to draw is the front elevation. So it shows the front side of the set and elevates it just like that of the rear. So if you were looking straight on, what would it look like? Okay, now we're going to talk about different types of scenery. So there's a platform, which is a stationary, standard, flat walking surface for actors to walk on. Then there's the backdrop, which is a painted curtain that hangs in the back of the stage to indicate scenery. Then there's a cyclorama, also called a cyc. It is a large curtain or wall positioned at the back of the stage in which lights are projected on to create mood. And then there's the flat, which are flat pieces of scenery painted to give the appearance of buildings or backgrounds, usually made of wood and muslin. Okay, so next thing we're going to talk about safety. So some safety tips for working with set is to always wear closed-toed shoes, to make sure you're using the right tools for the job, to keep your fingers and hands clear of any blades of any tools. Make sure you keep entrances and exits clear just in case there's a fire. Don't use a tool you aren't familiar with, and definitely don't horseplay because there's a lot of different power tools and a lot of different blades and saws being used by different people all over the place. So horseplaying is just going to lead to injury. So the next thing we're going to do is watch the video. It's Drama 101 Introduction to Theater, Module 3, Scenic Designer. It's going to walk through some of the tips of scenic design. Okay, next video we're going to watch is Working in Theater Scenic Design, and this is going to go more in depth through the design process. So what do they do first? How do they create their elevations? How do they create model sets? Alright, next thing we're going to talk about is props. Props are anything carried on or off stage by the actors, and they can be purchased or made. So next thing we're going to do is talk about who is in the prop department and what their jobs kind of are. So first video we're going to watch is from the National Theater, and it's an overview of the props department. Then we're going to watch a video about managing props. So with some shows, there's a lot of props that come on and off stage. So we're going to talk about how do they handle all those props and making sure they go to the right actors. So we're going to watch that video from National Theater.